The world's leading video streaming company Netflix says it wants to be a player in the lucrative world of video gaming.
We've been working on original content for Netflix for a long time, and we've seen how passionate the fans are getting about these series and films, and it's incredible. And so what we're looking for are opportunities to extend the universe of these shows and these films into other mediums.
It's starting with a video game version of the hit Stranger Things. The game and the show's third season come out on the 4th of July.
They want to be able to grow their market share too, and I think bringing games and streaming that to a mass audience is going to be very interesting, especially if they're exclusive on Netflix too. I think there's enough there that will entice people.
Netflix is entering a gaming market that's full of established players, but it could be worth the risk. Last year, video game revenues rose nearly 20% to $43.8 billion. That's well above the $29 billion for the entire TV streaming business. And it also edged out the movie industry's $41.7 billion in box office receipts. Analysts say Netflix needs to perform well ahead of the launch of Disney's own streaming service this year.
They might as well try everything they can right now, especially since Disney Plus is coming out.
And Disney Plus has the advantage of owning a vast library of content. That includes classics like Lion King and Aladdin.
We need to get back to our kit.
As well as all Pixar movies, the Star Wars galaxy, and the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Avengers!
With competition getting tougher, Netflix hopes its game plan will take it to the next level. Paolo Montecillo, TRT World.
Well, for more on Netflix's next move, let's go to William Denselow in New York. Hi, William. Well, the crossover between the video gaming industry and the movie and TV business is creating a lot of buzz, particularly over in Hollywood. Tell us a bit more about what Netflix has announced.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, this announcement of Stranger Things 3, the video game, to coincide with the launch of the new season, launched on the 4th of July, huge US public holidays. Of course, no coincidence. This is a huge push for Netflix. Make no mistake about it. A clear sign of intent that they're seeing very much this move into other spaces apart from just its streaming service as a huge push for the company going forward. Now, this move to launch this video game that we understand will be across a number of platforms such as PlayStation and Nintendo and Xbox will also be followed next year by a mobile game as well. Now, we understand they are outsourcing the creation of these games, but this is very much an Netflix initiative. We also understand that the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance is another kind of joint collaboration teaming up with gamers to bring their series to the gaming forum as well.
Interesting. Now, do you think this move is Netflix really trying to stay ahead of the curve here? We know that there are more and more streaming service competitors popping up. Do you think this is a way of Netflix really trying to edge out the competition?
Well, it's certainly seen as a huge opportunity really to cash in. Of course, some of these series such as Stranger Things incredibly popular, especially with younger demographics. So it's really seen, of course, it's not just with gaming that we've seen things like merchandising, T-shirts, sales and things like that from Netflix when it comes to this particular franchise. So certainly seen as an effort to really pursue all possible avenues to really try and capitalize on the success of some of these shows. Now, interestingly, we have seen similar attempts to get a bit creative from Netflix in the past. We've seen things like an interactive show from Black Mirror, one of their TV series, which really gave viewers the opportunity to choose their own narrative, to be able to interact and choose the option they want their characters to take. So that is perhaps a glimmer of how Netflix are pursuing the future in terms of trying to bring viewers into more of an interactive space to try and give themselves a bit of a differential, as of course you so rightly mentioned they're faced with incredibly staunch opposition with the likes of Disney moving into the streaming service space. So this really seen as an opportunity for Netflix to expand their role and to give themselves more than just being seen as a streaming service, to give perhaps the X factor that potentially they feel they need going forward.
Yes, and you mentioned competitors like Disney Plus. Do you think they're watching this move very closely, and might they consider similar moves in the future if all things go well for Netflix?
I think it's impossible to see why they wouldn't, of course. Things like these collaborations between incredibly successful movies and TV series being translated into the gaming space, of course, isn't new. We cast our minds back years to the likes of the Nintendo 64 and the huge success of the James Bond GoldenEye franchise. Of course, looking at Disney specifically, the likes of Star Wars has been incredibly lucrative, not just on the big screen, but also on people's gaming devices as well. So this really shows how much of an opportunity there is for all these platforms to try and capitalise, if they have the rights to these franchises, these hugely popular shows, to really try and cash in and make the most of it, of course. As well as that huge bump in revenue from the gaming industry that we heard last year, it's now seen that the gaming industry in general is seen to be worth around $150 billion in 2019. That according to the research firm New Zoo. So essentially the move from these streaming services, that if they have the opportunity to move into this space, then why not go for it?
Yes, and just quickly, William, this isn't really a new development, is it? Video games based on movies or TV series?
No, exactly. I mean, the likes of the Nintendo 64 introducing the likes of GoldenEye, that was well over a decade ago, incredibly popular example of being able to piggyback on a movie's success. Of course, we see the likes of Star Wars continuing to introduce gaming shows like that. But the interesting thing was, if they can push the needle a little bit further and introduce things like more interactive gaming, both in the show, bringing that kind of narrative between the gaming and the shows close together. Of course, the likes of mobile devices being able to bring in more of an immersive experience as well. So while this definitely isn't a new thing, we could see this going forward and pushing new boundaries.
Okay, we'll keep a close eye on those developments. William Denselow in New York, thank you as always.